Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we are in the garden level studio at the Holman House. That's Annex A, I think we call it. We have, fortunately, Julie Pingston, who is the President and CEO of the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Julie, welcome to the show. First of all, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Chris. Always great to be here. Appreciate you highlighting tourism and hospitality today.
Well, it's one of our major industries, for goodness sakes. I mean, let's
I would agree.
Yeah, let's pay some attention to it. Recently, you presented in front of a mid-Michigan audience about how 2021 was and kind of what's in store, or what's at least booked for 2022. So let's start there and let me do this quick preamble that you couldn't have got into this industry at a worse time. Because just before COVID is when you took over.
You always are good at reminding everyone of that, Chris, because it is quite a story, right? It's, my first day of leadership was at the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau was on March 11th, 2020, when MSU got sent home and the first COVID case all in that week. And yeah, our industry spiraled really quickly after that, so it has been a very slow climb, especially, I think a lot of people think of tourism in Michigan, and it's been growing up north and setting records on Mackinac Island, but for the urban destinations, it has been a slower recovery process. And I mean, for us in Lansing, at least, it's been a slow recovery, but it's steady, where we're not going up and down, up and down. We've slowly been climbing. And I think that has some of my northern colleagues kind of like, we're on a yo-yo, where you're at least steadily just moving right up the ladder. So I guess we'll take that. Sometimes it's frustrating, but we're going to end the year probably in the mid 50% of our hotel occupancy. So we're usually ending the year mid 60. So 65 to 68 is a good hotel occupancy year end for us. And factoring in December will probably be 55 to 57%. So it sounds like we're making progress, but that gap of 10 points is a huge gap to overcome. And what we're going to have to do collectively, and this is what's out of our hands, is to really be able to bring back larger events, meetings, conventions, trade shows, our festivals, and larger sporting events than we've had. So,
Julie, I don't want to interrupt, but that there's also another piece of that hotel occupancy, and that is that in the last 2 years, a number of rooms have been added.
That is true. We opened a new hotel downtown Lansing in February of 2021, and then another, so that's the Courtyard by Marriott downtown, and then we opened the Graduate Hotel in East Lansing in June of 2021. So yes, you're absolutely spot on. Not only are we trying to drive occupancy, but we have more inventory in the market to now fill. So that, and thankfully we did not have any hotels leave the market. So that's also has to be factored in.
Excellent. Well, you've done a marvelous job of that, and keeping us on, like you say, stable grounds. Now, you had talked about bringing more things here. You do have a very active sports authority as well that's done a pretty good job.
We're so thankful that sports have been able to continue on because they are primarily an outdoor activity for most of what we do. And I think that's what's got us really excited for 2022. Our sports authority is quite honestly a little nervous about the calendar because it's all back-to-back really large-scale events. So we'll be hosting the NCAA Cross Country Nationals for men and women, so all the collegiate athletes from around the nation competing for national titles right here. We've got USA Judo Youth Nationals, which I'm excited to see some very talented athletes doing judo. And then we've got a huge bowling event for youth that's taking up a lot of weekends. So all good stuff.
It really is. Now, tell me, you were alluding to the fact that the high tourism places have really made kind of a rebound exponentially by comparison, and the urban areas have struggled a little bit. Tell me about that restaurant industry, which took just some incredible bumps.
I think that's the story of our industry the most is that, yes, we need some large events to come back, but we also have a huge struggle with employment. And so not only are restaurants and hotels still struggling, but they're turning away business. They're closing for lunch because they just can't do the staffing. And some of the demand is coming back, but we have hotels wanting to book a banquet for 300 people, but they can only serve and take care of 150. So they're booking 150 and that's it. They're turning away other business. And that's just because we want to keep our service levels high and manage expectations of guests and not have it be.
Yeah. So Julie, the expectation for 2022, would you say is brighter in that steady climb up?
I do think it's brighter, absolutely. We've got some really great tourism economists that give us great data, and most of the downturns in our industry have taken a 5-year climb out, and they're showing a 3-year climb out, which would be fourth quarter of Q22. So to have kind of that full back to where we were.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have been a marvelous job. And the reason I remind people about when you took over is that just to keep the doors open during those 2 years, you did an incredible job, and I appreciate you. And so does everybody else in Mid-Michigan.
Thank you. We're happy to have our doors wide open.
Well, thank you for joining us. Julie Pingston, who is the President and CEO of the Greater Lansing Convention Visitors Bureau. And you've been watching us on the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman. Stick around. There's more.